Welcome to the Coachzing Show, offering you the latest creative content marketing tips to help you work less, earn more, and help more people. Are you a coach zinger yet? Join the community where the world's best coaches, therapists, authors, and speakers come to discover the latest industry trends and partner with other like-minded professionals. Go to coachzing.com/community to join. And now, here's your host, Doug Foresta.
Hello and welcome back to the Coachzing Show. This is your host, as always, Doug Foresta, and this is a show where we help you, coaches, therapists, speakers, and authors to work less, earn more, and help more people through creative content marketing. And with me today is Bari Tessler Linden. I know you'll get a lot out of this episode. I don't know about you, but I think that most of us have some money stuff that we need to deal with, and so that's one of the things that Bari helps people with is really that piece about finding that financial peace of mind with our money. And so I know you get a lot out of this episode. Stay tuned, say a little bit about her and bring her right on. Bari Tessler Linden is MA as a financial therapist, mentor, coach, and mama-preneur. Her gentle, body-centered approach weaves together personal, couple, and creative entrepreneur money teachings into one complete tapestry. She is the founder of The Art of Money, a global year-long money school which integrates money healing, money practices, and money maps. She is also the author of her upcoming book, The Art of Money, a life-changing guide to financial happiness, published by Parallax Press in spring 2016. And to learn more about her, you can go to baritessler.com. That's BARITESSLER.com. And of course, we'll put that link on the show page. Bari Tessler, welcome to the Coachzing Show.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here with you.
Thank you. I should say Bari Tessler Linden because Forrest will, he will not, you should add that
That's a huge debate behind the scenes. I'm not legally Linden, and I need to keep my name, but we'll save that for another show.
Exactly. There you go. Topic. So, I'm really curious about, I love having you on because I mean, one of the things that I do know about you is that you don't necessarily do things there's sort of, when we think about internet marketing and how internet marketing works. And I'm really curious about what is your favorite way or ways to get the word out about what you do to the people that most need to hear it?
Yeah. Well, just to say, my background's somatic psychotherapy. So I'm trained as a therapist, and I had no clue about how to start a business or do marketing or bookkeeping or any of it, right? So I came from entrepreneurs, but there wasn't direct teachings. It was kind of just modeled for me, and then, I took it in. So when I started my work, I just looked around, and I felt like there were two different camps, and I know that's a huge generalization, but there was the traditional, JV camp, and then there was this whole other route that just felt more right to me. So, I have a lot of dear friends that do more of the traditional approach, and, my husband certainly went and studied a lot of that and would come home, and you probably know this from being in a mastermind with him, that he would come home and say, how about let's do this? And I would say, no way, So for me, it just always had to feel good. I don't know if you know the Enneagram at all, but I'm a 4 with a strong 3 wing, so everything needs to feel good and right and all of that. So, I mean, from the very beginning, one of my favorite ways to get the word out is I gave free talks everywhere. I lived in California at the time, and I literally showed up at every yoga studio, every women's group, every business group, anywhere I could. I would just give a talk on my methodology, and I did that for years, and I really loved it. So I would get 3 people to 50 people each time, and so I did that for years. My favorite way to get our message out now, my God, there's so many ways. I just love great quality content, and that's been at the forefront of what I've done from the beginning. So all my newsletters are articles, and they're not short. I really don't do concise. I like thorough. I like deep. And so we write articles as often as we can, and it's just great content. So I do a lot of free, I do the articles, and then we've always had a lot of free series over the years that it's a great way to be creative. So we've had money mochas, we've had money memoirs where I interviewed 30 people in 30 days and asked them all about their relationship to money. That was like interviews, video, audio, some written. We've had a road show where we got on the road as a family, and that was crazy pants in an RV. And, flew out to Seattle and went to Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Santa Cruz, and interviewed some of my community. So I'm always looking for creative ways to put out great content. And so we do that in our newsletters. We do that in different series. And I've done that over and over and over. And then another of my favorite ways is I cross-pollinate a lot with other dear people like this. People invite me to interview a lot. I love it. I have guest teachers in my Art of Money program. There's a lot of cross-pollinating through podcasts and interviews and guest teachers, and that's one of my favorite ways too.
Well, I love what you said about, I can just hear it in your voice. And, my background is as a therapist as well. And when I first started in this space, one of the things that really turned me off was, people said, well, this is what you have to do. And you have to do it this way. And you have to do JVs. And you have to do. And so I'm just really curious for you about, is that something that you really pay attention to in your business, about just sort of how something works, but then also, I think you kind of alluded to this or even said it, that it's also about that it has to work, but it has to feel right as well.
Well, I certainly at the beginning studied everyone, all the free content that was available online. I went and studied all of it. And then years ago, I took B School before it got too big. And, that was a great community. I met so many online women entrepreneurs that way. And then I have a whole creative entrepreneur crew that I've met. So, I definitely am always watching other people and what they're doing and how they're doing it, and then I need to make it my own. And on some level, I like to know what other people are doing, and at the same time, I don't care. I'm kind of rebellious in that way, meaning, if it doesn't feel good or right and it's yucky in any way, I'm not going to do it. And, Forrest would say he would bring home stuff to me and I would, kind of swear, I would swear, and then I would say, we're doing the opposite of that. And we kind of created a whole model of the opposite. So yeah, I like learning and studying. I never went to the traditional folks, the JV folks. And again, from day one, I had a lot of dear friends saying, let's collaborate. You promote for me, I promote for you. You send out solo. And then the whole telesummit thing got really big. And I did some of those at the very beginning. And then I started realizing if I say yes to at least 10% of them, then my entire newsletter becomes a promotion and all marketing, and that doesn't feel good. And so I stopped doing telesummits. And it's hard for me to say no because I like the person or I like what they're doing, but when I get the request for a solo email or 2 solo emails, I can't do that, and I simply won't. And I won't make my community list, all promotion. I want good quality content first and foremost. So, I've had to explain over the years why I don't do that model and why I have a different model and why it feels different. And a lot of my friends online totally get it and operate in a different paradigm. And then I still have a lot of friends who do the JV thing, and I have to explain. And most of the time it goes really well. And I've certainly had over the years where people say, well, you don't collaborate. And I say, well, that's not true at all. I'm collaborating all the time.
Right.
I just do it in a way that doesn't feel so contrived for me. I am collaborating all the time, and I love it. So did I answer your question?
Absolutely. Oh, first, and for us, I wanted to say as you were speaking, I realized I should say to our listeners that the forest that we are speaking of is Forrest Linden, the wonderful Forrest Linden. I wanted to give a shout out to him, who is your husband. So I realized not all of our listeners will be like, who's this Forrest?
Right. Who's this Forrest guy? And Forrest is, from day one, I started my work 14 years ago and have slowly been growing it. And he always had his hands in the pot along the way, and then as you know, he worked for other companies and philosophers, and then my whole team fell apart 2 years ago. And, I've been secretly wanting him on board for years, and I don't know how long I have him. But the only other thing I want to say in this moment is that it's been a slower growth journey. I've had friends that went, from 250,000 to 1 million, in a year because they were doing more of the traditional JV. And I've been a slower growth, but it's felt more right. It's felt more sustainable. I'm really into creating foundations, and we have a really nice, sustainable business and teaching model and business model that I love right now. And it was just a longer journey, but it had to feel right. I could never have it not feel right. That would not work for me. So.
Well, you mentioned sustainable, and my experience is a lot of people are getting burnt out on hearing the, and this would be an interesting segue into the finance piece, 7 figure, 7 figure, 7 figure. And I have nothing against making 7 figures, but, where I'm curious about your thoughts about that idea about sustainability versus there is a lot of, I never hear anyone really talk about how much money you save or how much money you take home after taxes. It's just
right.
Get more clients, make more money.
Well, that's a traditional marketing or way of saying that in the coaching world. And you just throw out 6 figures or 7 figures, and then there's no other details. And there's so many other details, right? There's gross income, there's net income, there's giving, saving, investing, and on, right?
Yeah.
So for me, this is where I had to do so much of my own money work because, again, coming as a therapist, we studied every topic under the sun and beyond. And I left graduate school. School loan came due. And it was an epiphany of, wait a second, we didn't even have a course, let alone conversations, around money, this, and how to start a private practice and how to work with our couples and how to set up a bookkeeping system. So it was such a huge missing piece for me that, I just started on my journey. And it was also at the beginning as a therapist, you don't talk about money, you aren't supposed to strive for money, all of that stuff, right? So obviously had my own money issues, under earning stuff to work through, and I did, and I have been for years, and I'll continue to, for years to come. But there is one thing, I talk about money ceilings and business models a lot. And so for me, back in the day, one of my money ceilings was I wasn't making more than $11 an hour, even with a master's degree in the mental health system. So a money ceiling was, can I get beyond 12 or 13 or can I get beyond 2,000 a month? And I remember taking a third shift doing overnight hospice care so I could.
Oh my gosh.
2,000.
That is not an easy way to make some extra money. Yeah.
It wasn't, but I wanted to experience what going beyond $2,000 was. And so that's how I did it that time. I wouldn't recommend it now, but it was a stepping stone job, and it was, and I just continued on, my path, asking myself, so, what's the money ceiling? Is it an amount? Is it a monthly amount? Is it 50,000? Is it 100,000? Is it, multiple 6 figures? And then, but then it got more detailed. It was, because I used to make my money doing 9-week courses. So I would sell, I would get everyone to sign up for 3 months, and then I would have to do it all over again. And what if I wanted to take a break in between and have some rest? And so then I started asking, well, how do I make money more than just a month or more than just 3 months, but how do I make money for 6 months at a time? And then I eventually moved into the year-long teaching model, which is really my most favorite and is the most sustainable. And so this is where it gets into business model and how I really define sustainability. And then everyone needs to define it for themselves, right? So you may want a 6-figure business or multiple 6-figure or even 7-figure. But again, this is where I love the numbers. I really get into what are the actual productions? What are the actual expenses that go with that? What's the lifestyle? And then where's your exercise? Where's your family time? Where's your rest time? So in a business model for me, there's a lot of incorporating how my health is doing, family time, self-care time, the income of it, the expenses of it, and then how much time that actually takes to create all of that. And then, all business models are different, so in the last 2 years, our year-long program, we've had a 67% profit, which is amazing. Yeah. And then this year it's changing because we're writing a book. We hired more team. There's a few other things that I can't think of in this moment. So that's going down, but I'm watching that so closely where we have dear friends that own spas and, their take home is probably 15%, 20% at the end of the day. And they're like, we would love your model, right? But their gross income is way, way, way more. But their net income, the percentage is so much lower, but it's actually pretty similar to what ours is at 60%. We're just dealing with different numbers. So yes, to really get in there nitty gritty with the numbers, and then to really see what kind of life and lifestyle and how do your values need to get in there, and rest time and family time and all of that.
And of course, in so much marketing material, especially stuff that gets marketed to coaches, none of that gets discussed, right? It's really like in the traditional model, it really is just, I run a 7-figure coaching business and you can too. And like you said, there's so many other things that go into that, so many questions. I just think it's really important what you're saying of we have to think about all these other things.
And very simply, we need to set up a bookkeeping system. And I know that's still like so taboo. I see so many therapists and coaches who are terrified of that part or want to have nothing to do with that part, or it's just so boring, or they just want to hand it over to a bookkeeper. And I think it's great to get a bookkeeper. I mean, I did my own bookkeeping for 12 years before I handed it over because it was really foreign to me. When I first started learning Quicken and QuickBooks, it was like the other side of my brain was turned on, and it felt incredibly empowering to me because I was a therapist, I was a dancer, I was a creative person. You don't do numbers. That was, I was, afraid of math as a kid. I wasn't so great at it. And so I just see a lot of creative types, not everyone, but just not sitting themselves down, getting the hand holding, getting the support, getting someone on their financial team, whether it's a bookkeeping trainer, and just helping them set up a whole system so that they can learn it for themselves and do it. It could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, it could be a year, and then you pass it over to the bookkeeper or the accountant. But you know what's going on with your life, your money. And I learned so much about business by learning QuickBooks years ago and tracking my own numbers and really getting a handle on cash flow and ups and downs and what the animal is. And I just think so much of us ignore that part of it, and it's going to bite us in the butt. I see that. And so it's not maybe such a sexy part of business, but it really is. It really is. Yeah. It really is. Sit down. I'm light your candle, eat some chocolate. I mean, really do whatever you need to do to make it more fun and creative. And, I teach this, I have so many creative ways to make that more exciting. But that's how you really get into what are your numbers, what are you projecting, what are the expenses, and really getting the breakdown of what a 6-figure business would look like, multiple 6 figures, and on and on. And then you have to watch it and track it closely, and play around with it.
I think that's beautiful. And I love that, one of the big takeaways for me is that we can learn from other people, and then we can adapt what works for us and discard what doesn't work when it comes to building our business and marketing our business. I think that's I think that to me feels very freeing, to hear you say that. I did mention at the beginning of the show, I mentioned that you are the founder of The Art of Money. Can you say a little bit about what The Art of Money is? Because I believe that it's coming up again, right? It
is.
Yeah.
So it's a year-long program at this point. It's a methodology that I've been teaching for the last 14 years. And it integrates money healing, money practices, and money maps. And it's a framework that we needed to be taught in grade school and up in small increments, and we just weren't. We were not taught this. It's in the school systems. I know that's changing, and so it integrates my somatic background. We do body check-ins. There's a lot of creative tools and practices that I bring to your money relationship because it was just such a foreign, missing piece, taboo topic for me. So I've been doing my own work for years, created a methodology that I literally taught in every single format imaginable and would teach it in 6-week groups over and over and over, and then 10-week groups, and then 3 months and 6 months, and now it's a year-long program. And so I'm the main guide as a financial therapist, and then I bring in so many colleagues. I have a lot of guest teachers that are accountants and bookkeepers and estate planners and financial planners, and they're all my folks that, know the traditional, money stuff, but they're all very creative and really smart and all do things slightly differently as well and think about it in a deeper way. And it's a whole community. I have lots of teaching assistants, and I can go on and on, but it's a whole private, member area that Forrest Linden set up for me beautifully. And it's a year-long program that we open up. We open up the early bird in November, and then we open it up in a fuller way. A lot of people are just so ready to start because we only open it once a year. So we do, in November, we open it up and give people a lot of beginning content to really sink their teeth into. And then we begin in January.
And how can people learn more and, decide if they want to sign up and all that? What's the best place for them to go?
The best place is to come to baritessler.com and to sign up for a community. And the first thing you receive when you sign up for our community is our little Art of Money 7-day mini course. So you get for 7 days like a little bite-sized nugget of each of the 3 phases: money healing, money practices, and money maps. And it, includes both great content and some interviews, and you'll get a really good sense of, do you want to do the longer program? Do you want to do our shorter new program, the Art of Money Dialogues that just came out? And you'll be a part of our community and get great content every 2 weeks.
Bari Tessler, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your words of wisdom. I so appreciate it.
It was my pleasure. Thank you. So nice to meet you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. As I said, I feel like I know you through, Forrest, your husband and I are in a mastermind together. So now I really feel like I get to know you a little bit more. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for listening. I want to remind you that if you've not subscribed to the show, go ahead and visit iTunes, click the subscribe button, and you'll get new episodes each week, helping you to work less, earn more, and help more people through creative content marketing. And I do encourage you to go to baritessler.com. It's BARITESSLER.com and check out The Art of Money. I know you'll get a lot out of it. And we'll put that link on the show page as well. Take care, everyone. Till next time, this is Doug Foresta at the Coachzing Show.
Thanks for listening to the Coachzing Show. Need help getting your book out of your head and onto paper? Need help marketing your books or speaking engagements? We can do it for you. Go to Coachzing.com to learn more. Are you a Coach Zinger yet? Join the Coach Zingers community where the world's best coaches, therapists, authors, and speakers meet. You'll get exclusive access to private mastermind calls where you can get instant marketing help from industry experts. Plus, we'll help you forge deals and partnerships with other like-minded professionals. Go to Coachzing.com/community to join now.